All right.
Yeah, we're in Thanks I Hate It territory now.
Yeah, all right. Let's move over into part 2.
Whew. So I ran across 2 things this week that I felt warranted further discussion.
Okay.
The first of which, Marquez Brownlee on YouTube did a 25-minute breakdown. It is entitled The Worst Product I've Ever Reviewed for Now. Okay. Essentially, he takes a very even-handed approach. This guy, he's also known as MKBHD. It's called Humane's AI Pin. This was the thing that I saw nothing wrong with this review. I mean, sure, maybe a little bit of hyperbole, the worst product I've ever reviewed, considering how long he's been doing this and how many different products he's reviewed.
I think if the worst product you're ever going to review, if you're a guy that does this on YouTube, it's probably going to be something AI related. Like, you could be talking about, like, the worst fucking smartphone, some weird Chinese garbage shit that has, like, a Leica lens in it for some...
Yes.
Or Leica branding, or Hasselblad. Those are usually considered to be, like, some of the worst fucking things. Or, like, the new fucking Moto. Oh, it's got Brazilian zebra wood back.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Wow. I've watched a couple of this guy's videos before when, like, trying to make consumer product choices in the past.
You feel like he's been fairly...
a little overly dry, but very analytical.
Yeah.
I feel like he's looking at stuff rather even-handedly. So if he's saying it's dog shit, I mean, it has to be dog shit.
Yeah.
The creator of this, or one of the guys behind it, Daniel Vassallo here.
His post is fucking ridiculous.
I find it distasteful, almost unethical, to say this when you have 18 million subscribers. Hard to explain why, but with great reach comes great responsibility. Potentially killing someone else's nascent project reeks of carelessness. First, do no harm.
Okay, first do no harm is the Hippocratic oath that applies to fucking doctors. Let's get us out of the way right off the bat. Reviewers do not have a responsibility to do no harm. Let's get that out of the way. But yeah, just his response was so fucking bizarre. My favorite thing about all this is, of course, Marquez jumped into the comments. We disagree on what my job is. And he's right.
He is.
This is my sticking point, and this is the thing that really got me about this whole interaction, is that this guy who works for Humane in whatever function that he does is saying that, you know, this review, which again, very even-handed, very dry, very technical.
It doesn't seem like this guy is going out of his way to trash this. He seems like he's being pretty honest.
Right. And so he's saying, well, you know, this is just unethical. Like, what about this is unethical to you? Maybe putting him on blast on Twitter is fucking unethical, dude. What the hell? The phrase that he used, too, like the bit about potentially killing someone else's nascent project. One YouTube reviewer is not going to kill your nascent project unless you already know that your nascent project is bullshit. So, kind of feels like he's wagging the dog a little bit. I grew up in an age, and I'm sure you remember these guys too, Ebert and Roper, right?
Yeah.
Ebert busting fat ropers everywhere. But, you know,
the guy that when he could no longer eat food had a Steak and Shake endorsement.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of the most anger I ever got on Twitter that didn't involve Bernie Bros are ruining the election type Disney adults was when I tweeted at Roger Ebert when he was still alive. So, like, you can't eat, like, real food anymore, and I'm sorry about that. It's just a little weird when I'm in line to get my Steak and Shake to see these quotes from you on banners, and just people were like, I had to, like, mute the responses to that tweet.
I had a similar thing where I kind of slagged off Bill Shatner.
Did you say it's strange that you're letting your career die just like you did your wife?
Oh, no. See, that would have at least been funny. No, I just really was like, I noticed that Bill Shatner was doing a lot of live tweeting about TV as though he's got nothing else going on. And so I said, aren't you supposed to be on set or something like that? And he quote tweets it with like, will somebody please tell this guy what's up? And I'm inundated with Shatner hardcore superfans just dunking on me. It was the same kind of thing. Like, why did I do this? Why did I open this can of worms? Don't send Bill Shatner
So what was
fans
up?
after. He's in a trailer waiting for his scenes to be called, and he's got a TV in there, and he's watching whatever
So
shows.
he's just like, wow, NCIS, this one's really crazy. So the rapist was the guy you saw in the first scene.
Right. But yeah, so it was just like, yeah, I what I came to realize later was like, yeah, he's got a lot of downtime. He's still working. He's still doing stuff. He's still, doing shows and whatever, and he's just like, no, but I got time in the trailer. But he didn't say that.
I would be just stacking up like moms.
Oh yeah, Shatner? Oh, come on.
Absolutely getting
Sliz
crusted
every
up.
every day. I'm trying to like, because there's a grand thesis here about reviewers, and I'm kind of coming around in this idea, because like, what's a reviewer's job, right? Because I always thought with the Ebert and Roper guys, or those kind of guys, Gene Shalit, whoever you want to use as your reference, I always thought they're giving you A, their honest opinion, and B, kind of a, if you like X, you might want to be interested in this movie, or if this is something that appeals to you, you might want to go see it. That's what I always thought. But clearly these tech guys think otherwise.
Yeah. So I've done some product reviews before and stuff that was like given in kind. So stuff that was given like for free.
Okay.
Some camera stuff. And, when it's given to you for free and you're talking to like PR rep or something, sure. Like, I don't necessarily think like it skews a review positive for me, at least. It was more like I had to think a little bit more deeply about the positives.
Sure.
Because I definitely gave pluses and minuses, and I think it was like, well, I got to think a little bit harder. Even some of the negatives, I kind of maybe even teased out a little bit more than if it was like something I had bought with my money and didn't have like an obligation on some level to like have something to say.
Okay.
And I feel like there are a lot of influencers that do reviews that they only kind of talk about the positives, and the negatives they kind of gloss over or present them not as negatives, just like, oh, it's a quirk. It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Sure.
And there's a lot of that in photography, YouTube, and music equipment, YouTube. I feel like there's a few people out there in both those worlds I think give, I mean, you could tell what their biases are for like certain brands or certain types of, they like stuff with this type of interface over that type of interface, or they don't like mini MIDI output jacks, which I agree are fucking dog shit. I hate those too. Things like that.
But those, if you have a body of work, I feel like if you're a reviewer of any renown and you've kind of got this way that kind of becomes like, yeah, we know that this is a preference that you have and you're going to say something about it or something like that. Like Ebert didn't like certain types of movies, and you'd hear it all the time, or like he didn't like Adam Sandler at all. Like, so anytime an Adam Sandler movie would be brought up, it'd be trash or something.
Hey, I pen. I put my hand up and it says super duper duper.
Billy Madison does camera reviews. That's great.
I
take a click and I go whoop whoop.
I take a pictures of the ghost. He's got the Sony camcorder from the late 90s, where if you turn on infrared, it goes through people's clothes.
Oh man, the green light or the green vision,
night vision.
Yeah. But no,
imagine if you were a pedophile when that came out.
Oh, gold mine.
Absolutely. It's just a great day. Like you're at the fucking Hardee's talking to your pedophile buddy who works there, and he's just like, dude, check this out. I was on Alt-Scooby-Doo last night, and I found out that there's this new way. You won't believe it. You can get away with it.
Oh man!
You see naked children, all you have to do is buy a camcorder. And it's like, well, that's what I had to do before. No, you understand?
No.
There's something different. We're taking something. Listen, this is a low risk play.
Tugging at my collar here.
The pedophiles and grown men who listen to Bjork.
Yeah,
in the late 90s are all about. Camera lets me see naked people. I thought, the monkey's paw.
Yeah, the science fiction.
With the monkey's paw on that, as they took it off the market because it was too good.
Right.
It took too many people out of the pedophile to prison pipeline.
Yes.
And we need people making cheese for Whole Foods for prison wages.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think we had to course correct on that.
The fucking FBI calling Sony like you're fucking up the pedophile game.
We're really invested in this. You got to shut that shit down. Yeah. But yeah, like what does a reviewer owe the person who made the product?
I'm looking at this AI pen. Like, how much child abuse can I get away with using this? Not enough. It's a bad product.
Yeah. What does the reviewer owe to somebody like Humane? This is the question I've been wrestling with, because like music and film and all these other things are vastly different in terms of how you review them, because usually it's a very singular, it's a very personal experience.
Yeah.
But with a consumer product like this, or as you were talking about music stuff, it's more objective than a review of art. What does a reviewer owe to the person who created the product? I don't think you owe them shit, personally.
Not really. Yeah. I think maybe you owe them to be a little bit more thoughtful. That's really it. Is really just like put more effort into it, but that doesn't mean necessarily you have to kiss ass.
Right, and I think that's what this guy was expecting. He was expecting fawning sycophants to be coming
because
to
so
him.
Much texture is that.
Right, and I think even mild criticism.
This is the new Mac. It's so good.
Yeah.
The new MacBook. Wow.
Yeah.
Throw out your old MacBook. Get the new one because it's got the new chipset that doesn't matter that it's much faster because the websites are already, they're designed so bad it doesn't matter. It's just, It's just gonna be the same experience. It's like how I rebuilt a fucking computer. Or built a brand new fucking computer, and guess what? Lightroom still is fucking. It's just as.
It's because it's fucking Lightroom. Yeah, it's a problem. Yeah, it's Adobe products in general. Like
everything is just like programmed to be so shitty.
Well, I mean, let's not even get into the fucking. Well, I guess we could. But the moving to a subscription model, that pisses me off more than anything else. More than any other stupid decision Adobe's ever made, moving to a subscription model infuriates me in a way that I can't even begin to express. Buying software does not need to be a monthly expense, in my opinion. If I buy Creative Suite 7, back in whenever that came out, I want to be able to use Creative Suite 7 and be done with it.
Yeah.
I don't need to pay $20 a month to continue using fucking Photoshop. And yet I do. Yeah. It's $10 a month. But the principle of the thing is the same.
We're all fucking that chicken.
I know. It sucks. And I hate it. That's where I'm getting at. I don't have a lot of tangible benefits to that. Because I could.
I guess like updates. And you don't have to worry about.
But what updates am I getting? I'm getting fucking AI generation as an update. No thanks.
Well, every once in a while, Photoshop will get something that's like not that. And the same thing with Lightroom, they'll get something. It's like, oh, that's actually like helpful. It's not something I'll use in every instance.
I was gonna say, like, how useful is it? How many updates are you getting?
I'm using the Adobe AI to put Tub Girl in this photo of Hillary Clinton shaking hands with Gaddafi.
And you're trying to make the poop go over both of their hands, but it's just not. The layers aren't.
The AI is not there yet. The technology isn't there. We haven't trained it on enough examples of gross photos.
Yeah, frame by frame, every shot from Garo Monster Home Delivery, just feed it into an AI.
Training an LLM on Japanese gore porn and vomit porn.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean,
why does everything look like a kitten being lit on fire?
Yeah, so strange. I just asked for a picture of a beautiful sunset, and there's a guy puking on a woman. But
it does appear to be golden hour. We're looking at the lighting.
It's picturesque, but like software as a subscription pisses me off. Having to rebuy something that I paid once for. See, a lot of this shit, and this is where it really fucks with me. It's cheaper to pirate things. I mean, it always has been, obviously, but it's more cost effective than it's ever been because every streaming service is turning into cable. Every software is now a subscription. It's one of those things where it's like, well, fuck, I don't feel like doing this anymore.
Yeah, I held on to my download copy of Lightroom. I can't remember what the last version of Lightroom was before it went to subscription model. But I held on to that as long as I could until I had bought a camera that had a sensor that the RAW converter couldn't handle.
And then at a certain point, that's a necessity. Yeah, you've run up against a use case where they got you.
Yeah, because I think I could convert to DNGs or fucking whatever, but I don't like fucking doing that.
No, because that's a nightmare.
It's a fucking nightmare. And then like you are also just taking up a ton of fucking space because now you've got your RAW files. Now you have your DNG files or whatever.
Oh, and then they're compressed in whatever way that you can't really.
DNG files are still very information rich. They're really not that bad. They're just not as good as. I mean, I think it's still a lossless format.
Oh, okay.
They're just not as good as a RAW file. You're losing some flexibility,
and that's a big part of what you want.
Problem. That's a big problem when you're photographing stuff like music photography, where you need every little fucking bit of information you can tease out of a file to make a image that doesn't suck.
So,
yeah, I don't know. This sounds like a fucking shit product. And if I had one, me and my friends would beat the hell out of it with hammers.
But he's going about like, it's unethical to say this. No,
it's not. You made a shit product.
Yeah, I think it's actually probably the most ethical thing you can say is to give an honest appraisal of a product.
What would be unethical is saying people shouldn't get vaccinated for COVID because they won't be shooting hot ropes like they used to.
Fair enough.
We haven't done the research. You can't say that. Personally, my ropes are just fine.
Yeah. No change in volume or consistency. Now we talked about Soleil a couple weeks back, actually, on a Thanks I Hate It, but I was reminded of that conversation because Adult Swim put out a promo, and it said, 30 years ago, we made this in a closet and slapped it on television. And it was Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Yeah, and the guy who voiced Brack is apparently threatening to kill himself or some shit.
Andy Merrill, who's the guy who not only created the show, but
I'm going to kill myself because I've got bees in my mouth.
So he's the guy who created the show, voiced Brack, did a number of songs for the thing. It was a whole thing. But yeah, he's working as an Amazon driver.
Yeah, pretty dystopian.
But Adult Swim are putting up this kind of best of a show that they technically own and saying, we did this. And Andy's going, oh, that's interesting. First I heard of it. And other people jumping online too. Dave Willis coming in and be like, actually, Andy created that show? And what the fuck?
You guys laid him off?
Yeah. Well, MC Chris, during a tour, he's recording his TikTok videos, and he's like, so yeah, I knew Andy from back. Like, all these people that worked with him are going, yeah, this is actually kind of fucked up, what you're doing and what you're saying. Yeah, 30 years ago, Andy busted his ass and made something that people still remember, and you're taking credit for it and not mentioning him. What do we owe to the creatives? Well, better than this. Were it not for Space Ghost, pretty much Adult Swim would not exist. Period, point blank. No question. Were it not for Space Ghost, I don't think Adult Swim itself would have even been a thing because there was not a lot of
weird
programming like that. Yeah, weird.
I remember as a kid, I had some pretty fun memories of going. Oh, this just shows you how things used to be. Oh. You young Zoomers with your TikTok dances and your your forever chemicals in your water. You never understand a day where like you might go over to your mom's friend's house and they got a different cable box provider and they got channels you don't. Because you see, where I grew up, I had Charter cable. But where Janet lived, she had TCL.
TCL, yeah.
Yeah. But guess what TCL had? Charter don't.
Cartoon Network.
Cartoon Network. So that was a big old treat, hanging out with Janet and her kids, just having a good old Friday evening. You'll eat some pizza from Mangley's.
Oh,
That was the first time I ever had pineapple on pizza. God damn, that was good. But I watched Space Coast. My Who's This Bjork lady, and I remember the episode about the exploding sharks and follow that which the ant.
he blows off an interview with Conan O'Brien to follow a fire ant for 11 minutes. It's brilliant. It
Just a weird subversive show.
I mean, they chopped up the Bjork interview. Yeah, he's like, okay, this is my new wife. Yeah, they would get people in to do interviews. People who were doing these interviews didn't know what the hell was going on. George Lowe would probably be the only one actually talking to them.
That's the voice of Space Ghost.
Just thank you, yeah, the voice of Space Ghost, and you know his whole shtick, and at least in the beginning, was, "Are you getting enough oxygen?" You know, all this. But eventually, it just became this absurdist masterpiece. It started out, they were actually legit trying to do a talk show, and after a certain point, with guests that were like rude and combative, they're like, "Well, why don't we just have fun with it?" And so that's where you get episodes where you had Macho Man Randy Savage doing a voice on the show as Space Ghost's granddad.
That's right.
Yeah. And you had oh god, I mean, so many.
I think part of the bit too was that they would have like a straight interview with someone,
right?
but then when they were putting it into the show, they would ask different questions, and that's how you get the weird responses.
Right. Some of those early ones, like Donnie and Marie, it was kind of like openly hostile, and so they ran with that idea. They would rewrite the questions, sure, but like these guests' reactions were sometimes legitimate to like, what are we doing here? You know, these things were, because you know they're going to conventions and be like, hey, can we interview you for this show? Like, what is this? What is this? The things where they're like, what is this? Who am I talking to?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And then they built that into the show, yeah. But just absurd concepts. The Great Kentucky River Shark. I think that's what. Willie Nelson was on that episode. There was the gas leak episode where they, I think it was, I can't remember if it was Ludacris or who it was, but they crack a window, and they're all running around breaking the pipes, and just, it was completely absurd.
Oh, the don't let the bees in.
Yes.
I can't. It's been so long. I can't really remember.
I have some of the DVDs, but not all of them. But
it's also, that was the first appearance of Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yes,
The bombs in your mind.
that's right. And they hadn't quite gotten the characters where they wanted them, but the Baffler meal. Space Ghost makes a deal with a burger chain called Burger Trench. For a houseboat and one serious speaker to make the entire show an advertisement for Burger Trench's
The Baffler meal.
Baffler meal, yeah. Oh boy, there's hungry teens to feed. Just really absurd shit, and boy, nobody was doing that. Nobody. Well, okay, it was them and Conan O'Brien. That was it.
Yeah.
You know, as far as like stuff that was on TV, and Conan O'Brien was late at night, and same for Space Ghost. They kind of occupied a very similar time of day, because this is when you had day parts and you had to figure out where you're going to put this weird shit. And they said, well, we'll put it on late night. And that worked. All this stuff, this huge, at least to me and people like me, I mean, you obviously like-minded, but like Space Ghost is more known now for Coast to Coast than it ever was as a old cartoon.
Yeah.
Than it ever was as a comic book character.
Yeah.
You know,
and the cartoon, the comic book, not that great.
No, I read a Space Ghost Green Lantern crossover that they put out a couple of years ago. Not great, because they played it straight. It's like, no, at this point,
what Space Ghost seems to be doing is asking Green Lantern is do you think dogs should get married? Or are you a homophobe?
And Guy Gardner just staring at him for 4 panels. Like, what did you just? Yeah, at a certain point, you've lost control of the characters, because, I mean, between George Lowe's voice and just the weird shit that they had him doing, it's become its own thing. All this, and Andy Merrill's working for Amazon. Like, it's so unfair, obviously, because creatives should be treated much
Yeah.
better in this and every industry. But also, just you couldn't keep them on for healthcare for whatever like have them storyboard something. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you're going to fire Andy Merrill? He made you guys. It's an epidemic of nonsense. Because they're shelving shows now, and we're shelving entire movies.
Or deleting content because if they keep on streaming, then they would be open to paying royalties to people.
Right, to
So
music.
stuff is disappearing off Max, off of Netflix. We've really taken all value out of content, out of creative endeavors, and then wonder why we're getting nothing but the garbage bin.
Yeah. Like, well, I mean, we had an epic struggle just last year to get writers actual fair pay. You know what I mean? Like, it was a brutal.
And that's just still really not even over.
No, because there's still so many working parts in that. But it's also, it's the larger picture is just like we're not valuing creatives, like you said. Like, we're not.
Yeah.
I overheard somebody the other day talking about, because they do concert promotion out in California, or they do booking, and some band got a guarantee of $40,000. $40,000 for a single show in California. Would it surprise you that band was the Dresden Dolls?
Not at all.
Okay. I feel like if any band that you or I were huge fans of asked for $40,000, they'd be laughed out of the fucking building.
Yeah.
I don't know if 40 grand is an appropriate amount for a single show.
I mean,
I feel like it isn't, but that could just be because I don't know the biz.
so any band that's, let's say, playing like The Pageant, which is a 2,200 cap room in the Midwest.
Yeah.
You're looking at tickets. You're going to be anywhere from $20 to $40.
Right. And that's general admission. Because balcony is going to be more just by default.
It's not overcomplicated. It's not overcomplicated. Ticket spread.
You hear
Now
what I
watch me
said?
Now watch me screw this band. So any band that's in that ticket range is probably getting anywhere from like 20 grand to probably 50 grand a night.
Okay.
So let me just do some math here. Let's say it's a 40. And let's say they sell out, because it seems like that's really all that's happening is like you're either no one's playing like a half capacity room anymore. You have to like try in. Does that make sense to say? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to a show. I'm not shooting a show at Del Mar Hall and only like 100 people show up. It's like the room's at least half fucking full. There's no like, geez, we took a risk on it. It's like everything's so much less risk now.
I was just saying, that's probably because of booking and because of we're not going to blow this money on something that's not going to perform, so they're going to go with surefire hits. They're going to go with what they know works, yeah. Which was why Slowdive, I thought, was like, oh, okay, that's interesting that they've never been to St. Louis. At least I thought in the 90s they would have taken some risks and maybe,
St. Louis was still a fucking... I mean, Nirvana only ever played here once.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Slowdive didn't play here once. You know what I mean? Like, but anyway,
Anyway,
different
so-
bands, different careers. That's a whole different.
But like I don't think my Bloody Valentine ever played here that often. Like there's a lot of bands that never really played St. Louis that much because why fucking would you?
well, I mean, I get it.
Because there's so many other towns you can route through. You can fucking spend the whole entire week in New England and not have to drive that far in between locations.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start going out west, you're going to hit Chicago or Cincinnati or Indianapolis. Or you can hit all three of those if you're doing really good.
Right.
And you're probably going to go south, hit Memphis or Nashville. And if you're then going to start going west, if you're not going to go south to like Atlanta and then hit Florida, maybe you'll hit Columbia instead, play the Blue Note or play Rose Hall.
Yeah.
Or you'll just fucking hump it. Maybe you got a day off, a travel day, so you're just going to go straight to Kansas City because you don't want to cannibalize the Missouri market or something like that.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
then you got to do the most fucking gut-wrenching fucking drive, which is Kansas City to fucking Denver.
oof.
I've
No
done
good.
that a few times. It's Honestly, you know what? It's still not as bad as driving through Indiana. People talk shit about Kansas, and you can tell they're biased and where they've been, where they ain't been. Because Indiana is like some real fucking kill me now, God. I do not want to live anymore kind of bullshit. At least Kansas is like a pretty state. Indiana is just like, this is just sad. This is a state of depression.
I've been there once, and I drove through to Indianapolis, and I couldn't tell you a single thing that happened on that drive.
It's fucking nothing.
Yeah.
It's also one of those things where like all of a sudden you realize, oh, I really got to take a shit, and you're on the highway. Oh, we just fucking missed the exit. When's the next
30 miles.
Anything? 30 miles. Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, $40 ticket, 2,200 people, $88,000.
Okay.
So I don't know what the door split, if there's a door split, what the guarantee is, because I've never looked at a pay sheet for a show of that size. I've only ever seen guarantee split sheet, stuff like that for bands where Bert was picking up hot and readies for the band. He's like, yeah, these guys are gonna need a little help getting to the next town.
some real weekend warrior shit.
Man, this really sucks. This band's really fucking tight. But
I opened for a couple of them. Yeah, there've been some.
Yeah, it's a real hot dog and a handshake kind of shit.
Yep.
But
doing the old Metallica hand sandwich where it's a piece of salami on your palm and you just go straight to
Jesus. Yeah. So yeah, Slow Dive's probably getting paid anywhere from, I would probably say, 40 to 60K.
Oh, good for them. They've been so influential over the past several decades and whatnot, and pay them what you owe them. That's
several decades. I mean, they've been around since like the late 80s.
Several is more than two, so
sure. The band is not older than me,
right?
So it'd be 40 years,
right?
4 decades. You said several.
Several is 2 or more. Right? Am I wrong in this? Several
would be 7.
No, that's
God. I hate the fucking English language. It's such a fucking garbage. We all should be
more than 2, but not many.
I never heard this.
That's straight out of Oxford. More than 2, but not many. I had several hot dogs this week.
Yeah, you had 7.
No, it's more than 2, but not many. It's like a few, or I'm not making it up. We're looking at it.
Again, the public school system has failed me.
And yeah, I definitely was not going to say that Slow Dive has been around for 7 decades. No, because I wasn't sure the exact number, so I said several. It kind of. I did not mean for this to turn into etymology, but
I feel like this
is
right. This is I feel like I am Stavros here right now. It's like kind of like finding out that I had a sister I didn't know about.
Oh God, is that true?
It is a true thing.
Oh wow!
At Easter, my aunt pulled me to the side and it was like, "Hey,
this year?"
Yeah.
Jesus, no!
I think I tried to tell you this, but then you were like, "Hey, check out this gross thing on the internet."
that does sound like me.
Hey, here's a news story about a guy on Twitter who doesn't get it, and I'm like, "Damn, he doesn't get it."
Damn,
damn,
dude does not get it.
Dude, that brother's starving. Yeah, apparently I have a half sister out there that I've never met before.
That's wild.
Yeah, and my dad obviously knows about it. This isn't like my dad seems like the kind of guy that would find out he has an adult child he doesn't know about.
Yeah,
he was a salesman at a furniture store.
The classic traveling salesman bit. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
And like my dad has never told me about this. And
well, yeah, I mean, why would he?
One of my half siblings knows, and my brother doesn't, and I don't know how to broach this subject with him because
we'll link him to the podcast, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully he doesn't listen to the podcast.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, it's just like, that's something.
Yeah,
it just, you know what?
I can't even.
I for whatever reason, I guess I grew up thinking several was 7.
I was more interested in the secret sibling. What? How are you feeling about this? What's going?
Oh, fucking my life's like. I mean,
well, yeah, I know you got your own life.
I don't know how I feel. I know how my sister feels. My sister's very angry.
Yeah, and I can
because
see that.
you know my sister's angry because she's the one that got out.
Okay, fair.
So really, like it's not as bawdy as a story as one could assume.
No,
given
it's
the
just
stories I've
it's
told
still a
about
bit
my
of a
family.
jaw dropper, though. I mean,
So my father, before him and his first wife got married, they were kind of like high school sweethearts. And my dad was kind of a hippy dippy guy. And of course, hippy dippy guys are just like, oh no, man, just eat the root, man. You won't get the baby, man. Yeah,
I'm allergic to lambskin or whatever.
Yeah, man, just pull out.
Ah, yes.
And so he got her pregnant, and her family was like, if you keep this child, we will disown you. And so they put the baby up for adoption.
Okay.
My aunt is really into like ancestry stuff and all that, and that's how they got connected.
Oh, wow.
And my aunt was like, yeah, I remember something like that happening as when we were younger, and that's probably for the best, given that they were like dirt poor hippie kids.
Yeah.
And but this person like lives in the South, apparently has like an all right life, adopts kids of their own.
Nice.
So it's I don't know where to go with it. I got too much going on right now to be like, hi, I'm like your long lost like half brother.
Oh, right. I mean, that's a whole can of worms you don't necessarily want to get into, but I mean, just it's got to be.
It's a little bit of mindfuck that my
bit of a
dad
stunner.
didn't ever say anything about it. The funny thing is that my girlfriend broached the subject with my mom before I did, and my mom. And one of her great, it sounds like something from a Trailer Park Boys episode. Apparently my mom's response is, I feel like I should know that. It sounds true.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm probably paraphrasing incorrectly, but it's one of those things where like, yeah, it sounds like something I should know, or something I've known.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds right. I think I knew that.
And then just kind of blanked on it. Well, I mean, I get that. It's not something you really want to think about too much.
Both my grandparents had like secret families.
Oh, geez.
My father's father, when he passed, there was another family at the funeral that wanted nothing to do with my father, and he didn't know who they were, and he's like, oh, it's probably.
How did guys in that time period find the time and or energy to have secret families?
Fucking.
Well, no, I understand that part. I meant the rest of it.
Oh, I think you just have one family you neglect. And you like come by every once in a while and like eat some like pan fried meat with them, and then you leave. And maybe you come by around like on the holidays and birthdays and stuff if they're lucky. But that grandfather was a real fucking piece of work. I'm glad that he died when I was a little kid, because I've never heard a good story about him. He was a Wellston police officer. The explicit reason that's only ever been given to me about why he wanted to be a cop was because he hated black people.
Yowza.
My father once told me a story about how they were looking to get some information on a situation, him and his partner, my grandfather, and they picked up a known accomplice of this individual in a way that probably wasn't legal. And they took him out to the Chain Rocks Bridge. My grandfather apparently told this guy who was a black man, like, me and you're going to go take a little walk here along the river. And he told his partner as he was getting the guy out, if you hear the gun go off, I'm just shooting at rabbits.
All right.
Yeah. So apparently back in the day, the newspapers used to run little stories about Francis Sutter and his goon squad.
Oh, my. He had a goon squad. It's just icing on the cake.
Yeah. So no wonder why I hate cops.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, Jesus Christ. Many reasons, but that's just cherry on top.
But yeah, all the stories like my siblings have ever told me about my grandfather were just like, yeah, that guy fucking sucked. And he's dead. So it's this fucking thing you're going to show me. Do you have?
Sorry, I really got sidetracked there.
By my doo-doo brain.
By the word several. So I reposted this because I found it on YouTube. It was recommended to me because I own a TCL television. TCL is they make the Roku TVs and all that. Well, TCL is getting into the content creation game, Brian.
Oh.
Uh-huh. with an original film called Next Stop Paris. I'm going to play the trailer for you and see if you can tell me what first thing you notice. Next Stop Paris on TCL TV Plus.
Wow, folks, all the stars are here.
Generic AI man number 1. Generic
What
AI
do you mean
woman.
Claire, what do you mean you forgot the chicken nuggets?
Claire, I need a copy of Bambi for the PS2 right now. Yeah, just awful AI generated everything. The geometry of Paris looks really fucked. They've got what appears to be Big Ben also in Paris. I really don't get what they're going for. Well, okay, let me take that back. I kind of get what they're going for. They're going for an Emily in Paris type of romance film. That's what they want to have. But it's hot fucking garbage, Brian. And that's just the trailer, the minute-long trailer. I don't think I care to see or hear any more of this. I think it was just a matter of time before we got something like this, where everything is generated by AI, including what sounds like the script and the voices. It stinks.
That stinks.
Yeah. I mean, that's all I got, man, because fuck, this is just... It's dog shit all around.
It would be really funny to me. Again, like the only thing I think interesting you can use AI for is literally just a form of shit posting. Because like, okay, what if I made an AI web show with Michelle Obama
Right.
as a Victorian detective, but all the things, but she's also a serial killer who's
Okay.
white.
Okay.
And it just you know, like just make something absolutely fucking weird.
Right.
And then have her assistant be like the Oscar Mayer Wiener boy. You know,
Sure.
like just have something that just like you're
Go
clashing-
nuts.
Have a dog eating itself, washing its hands while the sun turns colors and a rainbow turns into a bathtub full of chicken legs. See, that's like the only, like, just the stuff that's like fucking bizarre. And if you're like shorthanding stuff that would be really intensive to have like a 3D artist render, that stuff I can understand to some extent. I'm not saying you shouldn't pay a 3D artist to render that. I'm saying maybe you should pay the 3D artist to guide those prompts
Or something like that. Yeah.
right.
Or,
If you're the you shouldn't cut that creative person out.
right.
That creative person should probably learn how to take their knowledge and do their thing. I'm saying that, like, I'm sorry to say that, like, probably understanding AI tools is probably going to be a prerequisite for a lot of creative individuals in the near future.
Yeah.
And I think mostly that's bad. In a couple ways, it could be good in the sense that it's probably still keeping those people in the loop.
Sure.
It's when those people get taken out of the loop that I think it's a wholly evil and bad thing.
And that's exactly what this is, at least what it appears to be. It looks like they've taken every single creative person out of the loop that they can, and it looks and sounds like dog shit. I mean, it's a romance novel, basically, about a woman who's going to Paris and meets a man on the train. It's been done, but, you know, it can be done well if somebody writes it well enough or
But
whatever.
what if they've all been hit in the head by a donkey?
Right. Give me something. Then there's a mysterious...
I'm so glad to be in Paris, Martha.
I'm going to Paris as well. Don't let your dreams beat dreams.
Make your dreams real, Claire.
If this is the future, if this is what we're... Because God knows, there's somebody over at Warner Brothers licking his fucking chops seeing this going, we don't have to pay those motherfuckers anything, you know?
We should take all of the people on the board of Warner Brothers and we should put them in a nursery in Gaza.
And just see what happens.
See what happens.
Just see what happens. There's nothing actionable there. We're just saying
So
you
I
should
had
go
a hot
visit.
take. I had a hot take. If I was a super cool white hat hacker,
Okay.
I would hack into the IDF
Okay.
and all the quadricopters that they have going around. They're playing the sounds of babies crying to lure people out so they can be murdered. I would replace that with Lana Del Rey, because anyone who hears Lana Del Rey, I don't care if a person in Palestine and Gaza City that's not familiar, not up on their Western pop culture is going to hear that shit and be like, where that is, I need to be far away from it.
You mean the people in Palestine are not going to come out when they're like, they're going
to be like, yo, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to take the body of my dead child, my martyred child, and we're getting the fuck, whatever's going on over there, that's not cash money to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care of business. Look, the fact that you're using screams of people to lure other people out to then murder them is just like...
It does seem like something that, like, that's like a little too beyond the pale even for, like, say, like, Nazi Germany.
It's cartoonishly evil. We're at a point...
I mean, they already massacred people that were getting flour from aid trucks, you know, like, which was already cartoonishly evil.
Right, and we're just...
bombing a hospital and say we didn't do it, and then bombing all of the other hospitals.
Like, yes, but there were bad guys in there, though, you see.
Mm-hmm. No, if they said there were competitive Smash Brothers players that have rap sheets for harassing women, I'd be like, of course.
Understandable.
About that.
Have a nice day. Yeah, I'm not worried about those guys. But
listen, you got competitive Smash Brothers players. You also ends up a couple civilians.
Whoopsie daisy.
Listen, you can't make an omelet without cracking a few eggs.
But I draw the line. Yeah, there's just I have this, like, what is it going to take? What is it going to take? You were saying something in the last episode about now we're getting retaliatory strikes from Iran.
Yeah, 34 minutes ago, Israeli missiles hit Iran. It kind of feels like annihilation.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, I feel like that's the end game because Israel does have nukes.
Right. I mean,
Iran might. That's always been a real. I think Iran is. I mean, it's also kind of an ethnic state, but they also seem like they just kind of want to do their own shit.
Right.
like there's stuff that's not great about Iran, but they also seem like they just really don't want. They just want to do their own thing.
Yeah.
Like it is really like y'all motherfuckers keep making me do that.
But annihilation being the goal, that's a very, end times evangelist Christian stuff about.
Say, yeah, there's the Christian Zionists.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them would believe that like a war like this would be ideal for, the Book of Revelations to play out and things like that.
They've wanted it for decades.
The rapture.
Mm-hmm.
I just know I'm grabbing one of them motherfuckers and weighing them down if I see them floating up.
Harpoon guns just...
My sins are keeping us down here.
Yeah.
Bucko.
You don't get to get out of this. No.
No one eats for free.
You're down here with me, motherfucker.
It's just... Yeah, it's all fucking depressing, and it's not getting any better. The shit that's going on with Columbia in New York right now, with students are protesting in Columbia University, and it's a pretty simple pro-Palestine protest. They're kind of like doing a camp-in.
Right.
It looks like they're occupying, and
I mean, you'd call that a sit-in, but yeah, I mean, it's the same. Yeah. It's the same thing.
Cornel West has come out there with his little scarf. Well, brother Netanyahu doesn't understand. We aren't going to stop.
Hey, as wackadoo as he can sound sometimes, he's at least has the strength of his convictions, unlike a lot of people.
No, I've been in the same space as Cornel West a couple times. He's a really interesting and overly sincere individual.
Yeah.
The only thing that really ever makes me go, what about him is why he's always debating the communist revolution guy.
Yeah, I think that's where some of the wackadoo quotes are coming from in my mind, is that, like, what? Why are you even talking to him?
But yeah, they're like arresting students or suspending them, like they can't get back into their dorms because their card's been deactivated. And it's fucking wild.
And then you got sitting members of Congress telling their Twitter audiences to assault people that are blocking highways. That's a lot of fun stuff. And
Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, this is a little different theater of war here, but she put that thing through proposition that, like, anyone who votes for funding the war in Ukraine, they should conscript with the Ukrainian army, which is
All right.
You know, I mean, that's definitely calling some bullshit more than other people in our government has been. I'm sorry to say it's coming from someone who's completely off their fucking rocker, but I guess, broken clocks.
Yep. You read my mind, because that's what I was like, well, I don't even know where to begin with that stuff. Like, the inmates are running the asylum. We're generating entire movies out of AI. Nothing's getting better. I'm having a hard time finding the silver lining there.
This does feel like the early days of Trump's presidency.
Oh, man.
Now it's illegal to protest.
Oh, yeah.
In 3 states, I think Mississippi, Texas, I can't remember who else. But remember, folks, this is all happening, with a democratically elected Democrat president. The stuff going on in Colombia, that's it's a Democratic stronghold in a Democratic stronghold state. These things are all happening under the guy who told us he wasn't going to be so bad. But it turns out he is just as bad as Trump, if not worse in some respects. I think Trump, if he wins the next election, which unfortunately seems likely.
Yeah, not getting a good vibe, yeah.
Because it all sounds like, well, you really want Trump? Like, no. The thing is, at least it's not even like you have to hand it to him, but I think the insincerity of Democrats is almost more infuriating than the fascism of the Republicans. Because the Republicans say they're going to do terrible shit, and then they do it.
Right.
But the Democrats, I mean, they like to be privy. They like to bear witness to suffering.
Yeah.
They like to tell you that a better world isn't possible.
Yeah, that's the classic centrist line, I feel like, and we talked about Frank Zappa a couple weeks ago, I feel like Frank Zappa's line is always going to be prescient from Hot Plate Heaven and the Green Hotel. Republicans is fine if you're a multi-billionaire. Democrats is fine if all you own is what you wear. But neither of them is really great because neither of them care about the Hot Plate Heaven because they ain't been there. Right? I don't think we're ever really going to have that kind of people's representation. Because people who claim to be for the people, especially on the right, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They haven't held a 9-to-5. They don't know the material conditions on the streets. The same thing happens with Democrats, though.
Yeah, Biden's been basically in politics his whole entire life.
Right. His entire career has been bought and paid for by the American people. He does not know what it's like to do a job.
Oh, remember that fucking photo of Hillary Clinton in like that person's like very modest apartment?
And the look on her face. What the fuck? It's the damn bitch you live like this. That's what she's thinking.
Yeah, there's a fucking potted plants in the sink or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
huh? That face. Yeah, that's what they think of you. All right, well, that about does it for the show.
Yeah, on a real fucking high note.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, like, no one's coming to save us. There's no salvation to be had, and life sucks. Wear a hat.
Life is short. Life is shit. Then you die. It's over.
Yeah, that's all we get. Sorry.
So yeah, sorry. Better luck next time. Hopefully next time when you're reborn on the wheel of Samsara, you can be like a dog.
Oh, that would be boss. Can you imagine being a dog?
If I were reborn as a dog, immediately running into a street and getting run over.
On purpose, or
just who fucking knows? I probably just would be
your luck is what you're saying.
Where's the pizza? Where's the pizza?
Oh yeah.
Because immediately I'm burging.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, a dog. I can't make a burger.
Shit.
I gotta steal a burger. Where can I find a burger?
Where's the
burger?
Where's the burger? Where's the burger?
Just absolutely destroyed by a fucking Pontiac G5.
Hey, you go, no, I had it all.
I couldn't stop all for a burger. Chained to the wheel of Samsara with golden chains.
Laid low by a simple burger. All right, folks, we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, eat shit.